Let's go.
All right. Well, hello, my love. Hello, Shiva.
Hello, Tara.
And welcome to today's live. It's very
Thank
fun to
you.
be doing this again together.
Oh, yes.
And today, the topic is we're going to be talking about unlocking the mystical element in relationship. And I love this topic. We haven't really talked much about this in the academy. So it feels perfect to be doing this with you because definitely I've always known that I'm a mystical being. I'm an energetic mystical being, but it's been challenging finding a partner who has also that as a part of their life and that they live it and they bring it into a relationship as well. So, yeah, a lot of juiciness to share today.
Excited.
Because you're definitely one of the most mystical beings I know. Like you live it, you breathe it, you are it, your house is it, you live in like your life is a temple. So
Mm-mm.
maybe yeah, it would be great for you to just share how your journey of coming into mysticism.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So, yeah, for me, the way I define Tantra, it's a complete path of life mastery and a path of mysticism or a path of awakening. So, Tantra comes from spiritual tradition, right? And
Mm.
so, spiritual tradition, this is the core of what we're doing over here. And I know that the name of your academy is Embodied Awakening Academy, right? So, it doesn't contain the word Tantra, but the mystical dimension into what you're doing is very present. We just did the fundamentals of Tantra, then you do a living Tantra retreat, right? So, the field of Tantra is very present in what is happening in this academy, in these teachings. And so, when I think of Tantra, for me, that's the core. It is a mystical pathway. It's a pathway of awakening. And I come from a science background, right? And at some point, I was in the forests in Costa Rica, and suddenly I started awakening to this mystical vibration, and I shifted direction to go full on into tantric and spiritual mysticism. So this has been my life completely. My life. Um, oh my God, I've got this little lady coming to deliver bananas. Just give me one. Just one.
Okay.
Hello. Nee, Tidak, 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 tidak,
Welcome to Bali life.
tidak. She's so sweet.
Sweet. I love it.
Walking into my temple like that. So yeah, this is the idea. It is that there are certain practices or certain things that we can do in life that are going to activate the connection with the divine and open our pathways to spirituality. And other things that we can do that are more like worldly, living in the matrix, making some money and having children and family and all that can be really beautiful. And when we enter into the realm of mysticism and spiritual experiences, it pumps us up into another dimension of being, another reality.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of for me, life without mysticism is just very matrix.
Hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. But there's this missing element that I see in so many couples that I work with that it's like they're missing this concept that they're part of something bigger. It's not just two people having a relationship, but it's two people that are weaving this connection together with this oneness entity, whatever we want to call that, God, spirit, Buddha, you give it your own name, that is co-creating with us and working through us all the time, which is us. you know,
Yes.
our soul. That's kind of how I see it and perceive it. So to not work with that energy of mysticism and energetics and things beyond the 3D realm is just limiting, I mean, all of life, but we're specifically talking about romantic relationships today to this very transactional, it can be beautiful and loving,
Hmm.
but it doesn't have the same magic
Oh,
that
sure.
comes with mysticism.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. My understanding is that probably 80% of people on this planet believe in some form of supernatural force, or God, or the universe, or nature, or they have some form of mystical belief
Mhm.
into their fields, right? But this belief very often is in the background. There, suddenly there is a crisis, and then there's, oh God, help me! Now I really need your help. But otherwise, I'm going to ignore all the invisible. I'm going to ignore all these practices, all of that, until I have a moment of crisis where suddenly there is a moment where I need to wake up. I need to actually engage with the invisible. And so what we are doing over here, Tara and myself, when we are engaging into our, practices and so on, we make mysticism and spiritual practice at the very core of our relationship and our connection. And we do that through very specific practices, through very specific intentions. And instead of this being like, okay, we are going to use it here and there, no, it's like at the very, very center. If you look at what I'm wearing over here, I'm packed with symbols. I've got paint on my face. Behind me, you have mantras, and the whole thing, the whole space is really created as a temple. It is, my place is called Shiva's temple now over here in Google Maps.
Mm.
So it's not to
Official.
brag or to be like, oh my God, yeah, I'm Shiva, and no, it's just like, because it's fun. It's like, it's a certain way of engaging with life where we put the spirit at the very core of what we're doing. And
Mm.
the way it
Mm.
manifests itself is very, very simple once we understand the dynamics. It is that right now, for those of you who are watching us, there is Tara and there is me, right? Two people over here. But this is not the only thing there is here. There is a spirit of the relationship. There is a tantric spirit. And the tantric spirit is an intelligent entity, like
Mhm.
way, way vaster and way, way more powerful than human beings as single entities. So when we engage with the tantric spirit, we are consciously, intentionally establishing a connection with a force or an intelligence that is much vaster than ourselves, right? This is the whole idea. Yesterday, we are planning on our future steps, right? What's coming over the next few weeks for us. And we were like, why don't we just call for help? Why don't we just surrender to whatever the plan might be, instead of us making decisions on how to navigate certain things?
Mm.
I'm not going to go into details, but basically we were like, please help us, right? We send a prayer to the skies, we sing some mantras, we engage into conversations, into intentional exploration, and then we listen for the guidance. And this is a very unique thing, because there are two egos over here engaged into this relationship, but there is a third intelligence and a third force. And I believe that this is what makes the magic of Tantra, because we can call in on that force. Like right now, by having this live together, we're already, channeling
Mm.
that energy into the space.
Mm.
This is what makes it fun. This is what makes it a little more, beyond the traditional 3-4 dimensional experience of relationships.
Absolutely. I love everything that you just shared. And yeah, I think let's all just take a breath together and let that land.
I like that. Ah,
And shake the body a little, stretch the body a little, give the body some touch.
mhm.
And what I'm loving about in my own journey at the moment, which is finding like I also come from a science background. We, as you know, we love geeking out in that realm together. Is yeah, I really love the structure and the understanding of the quantum field. And that's kind of my scientific way of understanding how it works. And then there's my mystical mind that loves just completely entering the mystery of the unknown. And through mysticism, it takes it less scientific into, it's like poetry. It's like, do you want to learn? And I think both come together, but it's magical and life starts to become sparkly, and that's that power of manifestation. And when we're doing that, using like connecting with mysticism is connecting with the poetry of God, if you want to say, or of oneness and what that is. So, we have gods and goddesses that we're working with. We have mantra that we're chanting. we have prayer and invocations that we're doing before lovemaking, intentionalizing together. And really what we're doing when we practice these things is we're forming a connection with spirit. So I have a relationship with myself and I talk to myself a lot, as we all do, right? And you and I have a relationship and we are relating, we are communicating, we are experiencing together. But how much time do we spend communicating or communing with spirit individually and then together? And I think that's one of the biggest missing pieces that I keep seeing, like, to different degrees in my life. And I have you as such an amazing reflection, and other people who are really at that point of living their life in such a deep level of trust because of that connection to spirit, which is inexplicable, but we have these different ways of connecting with it.
Absolutely.
So if we just take one more breath. And I have two questions for you. One is, what suggestion can you give people as a practice to start to connect to spirit, to mysticism, to that what we're speaking to individually? And then we can go on into the couple, because for me it always has to be both. It can't just be the relationship and it can't just be solo. It needs to be both.
Absolutely. So that's a beautiful question, and the key element over here is that I want to have a connection with spirit, which is my own self connection, whether I am in a relationship or not. Right. So why is this important? Because I need to have a passion about it. I need to have my own independent, sovereign connection with that, because I'm passionate with establishing that connection with the divine. So whether Tara is in my field or not, I am a mystic. I'm still a mystic when I'm by myself. That's the first thing. The second thing is to really understand that the field of mysticism and the field of Tantra is an art form. Rather than thinking about it in a linear way, imagine that we enter into that space and we start playing with music. We start playing with different instruments and different things, different techniques that we have. Rather than looking at it as a linear, rational thing, it's much more intuitive. It's much more in that kind of space. So adding this intuitive element. Now, the things that I will do when I wake up in the morning, right? To connect myself with my own self, with spirit, with the field of Tantra, there are a few things. The first one is to use mantras. So mantras are formulas, sacred formulas to connect with spirit. For instance, if I sing Om Namah Shivaya, I'm saying in the name of Shiva. Or if I say Jaya Shiva Shankara, it's victory to Shiva, the bringer of joy. Right? So I'm calling in that energy. Those are not the only energies that I'm calling. For instance, if I sing to Radhe 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 Govinda, it's going to be a different archetype. I could also be singing to other spiritual traditions, other religions, or other systems. For instance, if I call on the energy of Isis in Egypt, Isisaya Vivaya, Isisaya Gracia, victory to Isis, and may this energy become alive inside of me. So I have like different streams and different systems. But now if we narrow it to the field of Tantra, the mantras are a very core aspect, because they are the language, they are the coding that allows us to really anchor very specific qualities in our field. This is probably the first thing that I'm doing through the night. If I'm awake, I'm like singing mantras, activating those mantras. And then second thing that I'm going to be doing is activating my life force, activating my energy. So in the core of my being, I'm a Kriya yogi. I'm connected with the energy of Mahavatar Babaji. I'm connected with the Himalayan masters. And within that range, we touch on something that we can call Adi Yogi, or the original yogi, or this force that is really mystical, just sitting in the snows of the Himalayas and having a deep, profound meditation. So this is, these are the extremes of what I'm talking about. You don't have to become at that level of mysticism, but simply to give you the context where this comes from. And so within the field of Kriya, life force activation, Kundalini, is really at the core. So what I do in the morning with cold showers, with breathing, with shaking, with different practices, with training my body and activating my spirit, all of that is connected with the field of Kriya Yoga. And right now you have done practices around the world that are very, very common with breath work, with ice bath and things like that. Well, I do ice baths all the time when I'm in the Himalayas, jumping in the Ganges at the very source of the glaciers over there. These are the kind of things that yogis have been doing forever, and many of the practices that we are using today in the Western world, like for instance all the Wim Hof, originate in the Buddhist tradition, in the yogis of the Tibetan Buddhism tradition, right? So all of that is impacting the world and transmitting itself into the world. So cultivating life force. This is one. Using mantras. This is another one. And then there is, a few more other things. I'm very introspective, so I create lots of models and I try to understand. So this you can call that Vidya or Mahavidya, or the great knowledge or secret knowledge, and trying to figure out on a mental level what does all that look like when we try to rationalize it. So those are some of the aspects that I use on a daily basis. There is, of course, much, much more. And one of them is sending a beautiful message to my goddess over here, to Tara. Hey, I love you. A reminder that we're connected. That's a mystical experience as well, right? It's like the transmission of love towards each other.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
and
about you, Tara?
I see you living your life that way, and it's been incredibly inspiring for me. So I have a daily practice that's my own, but it's been fun, weaving in some of what you do into my life as well. And it's just made such a difference to my vitality, my energy levels, and my connection to spirit. It's just
Hmm.
finding new ways.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
something that I notice for instance, when I enter into your room, right, you've got lots of deities around. You have a statue of Durga. You have, um, why are those elements present in your field? Why is it that?
mm,
How does that impact you? And what is the difference between having those elements and not having them into your field?
mhm. Yeah. So I'm using different tools that help me connect to spirit in whatever way naturally resonates with me. And what naturally resonates with me is singing kirtan, which is devotional song to the gods and goddesses within the Hindu tradition, which we refer to as deities. So that's just kind of been my soul's jam. Like I grew up actually completely non-religious, and I had to find spirituality myself at 21 when I had an existential crisis, and then India just called me. And as soon as I heard the song, and as soon as I saw the deities, and as soon as I felt Mount mantra in my body, I'm like, this is so familiar to me. So it may not be that for you. Like for those of you listening, it may be a connection with a different spiritual tradition. It may be a connection with nature, maybe more of find what it is for you. But for when working with Tantra and immersing yourself in Tantra, these deities are the elements that we're working with.
Mhm.
So yeah, for me, it's like when I get up in the morning and my first practice is gratitude. And gratitude for me is a state of connecting with source energy and just being like, thank you for this human experience, this grand organized design, God, doing its thing, that we just get to exist and play in, and really what this does is it anchors in my mind all the ways that spirit has been there
Mhm.
through the highs, through the lows. It's like, wow, every step of the way I've been looked after and like had doors open to the next level expansion if I choose to trust and walk through. So gratitude is a way of clearing out all the ego's doubts around, oh my God, I'm alone. Oh, everything's so scary. And going, you're good. Like life's got you, spirit's got you. You can relax. And that's that gratitude process. And then a bit like you, it's like, for me, it's like how to open that connection, that conversation. I always need to clear before whatever is in the way of that connection. So, and this goes the same when you're about to relate to your partner, which we'll speak into next. So I'm always shaking, doing some type of breath, because there's usually something there that wants to be cleared. And for me, it's like doing my teeth. You know, I'm gonna clean my internal being every day. And when I do that, then I go to meditation, and I do my own meditations. I do breath, sound, and movement. I love Joe Dispenza's work. I might do some of his stuff to connect with the quantum field and just create that spaciousness in the consciousness once all the crap's been cleared out, and then opening the consciousness. And that's where the conversation really starts with spirit and into mysticism, is with that silent mind and with that clear channel. And if we're just on our phones all day and then be like, oh, it's date night, great, I'll just go straight to that. But there's not this inner clearing and expanding and listening, then that mystic connection in partnership is going to be more challenging as well. And then it's just that state of, like, when I'm chanting mantra, it's like, what do I need? Okay, I'm going to chant to Durga because I need some fucking courage and strength right now. I'm going to connect to Lakshmi because I'm wanting to be in that state of abundance and openness. Whatever I need, I'm going to chant to Shiva because that anchors my energy, and I'm wanting to feel more stillness in my being. And with all of that, it allows me to be in a greater state of trust, faith, and surrender. Vishvasa. Vishvasa. And that's kind of what it's all about. And when you have that within, then you can start to bring that into the partnership as well.
Exactly. Beautiful. So the thing that strikes me in that is really important for all of you listeners out there is that, as you can see, we both use techniques. We both use a certain form of discipline or structure, right? It's not just waking up in the morning and whatever is there. It's like there is an intentionality in what we're doing. And the techniques as solo practices or self practices, but then bringing that into the coupling experience as well is really, really essential. It means that both Tara and myself, we are extremely disciplined in how we engage. We're disciplined with our food. We are disciplined in our communication. We're disciplined in the choice that we make in life. Discipline doesn't mean control, but we really try to be really intentional in the choice that we make in life, because certain choices are going to connect us with the deeper layers of ourselves and expand our joy, expand our bliss, and other choices might contract us and shut us down. And so,
can I add one thing there? So I do see it as discipline, but that always meant that I felt like I should do, like I should do. And one of our really good friends, Sasha, had this whole journey with it. And for her and for me, it's like the shift from discipline to devotion, actually. And it's a more mystical way of being like, I'm just going to look after myself. You know, there's no the discipline part of have to goes when it's like, I want to feel good in my body, I want to be nourished, I want to be strong, I want to be alive, and just that can help a lot.
Yeah, to shift the mindset from something that feels like a duty or a chore, more something that is a spontaneous devotion. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful way of rephrasing that.
A mystical way.
Yeah, exactly. We're mystics. So yeah, what's the next thing you would like to cover? We move into
so I'd love to do one mantra together, just to anchor this into our beings. It's a mantra, the first mantra that Shiva, that you created, that now you have probably hundreds of incredible mantras for all different energies. And if anyone needs support in how to work with mantras and anchor in mysticism, please contact Shiva. He does sessions and he's incredible.
Thank you.
So yeah, do you want to guide us through Shiva Shakti Anahata and just share a bit?
Look, I'm not sure if it's going to be too loud, but we can try with that, right?
Yeah.
So what happens when we use mantras? We enter into a relationship with spirit, right? Imagine that right now, because if you want to code a new software, you're going to use code, right? I'm going to use code to create a software. So our minds, imagine that our minds are like the software. They are like we have the hardware, the body, and then our minds are like the software. They are the place where we have been coded, or we are being coded through our thoughts, through our emotions, and our minds are being coded. So when we anchor a very specific code, we are redesigning, slightly shifting. Imagine that these mantras are like energy objects. They are like life force or light objects that come and anchor themselves in our minds and start redesigning our neural pathways. So when we sing Shiva, Shakti, we're saying Shiva to the divine masculine and Shakti to the divine feminine. Then when we say Anahata, we are saying those qualities are connected in the heart, they are connected in love. And the more we sing this mantra, the more we start opening the field of the tantric experience, and the more we start entering into deep layers of intimacy together. So now we're going to create a big field of intimacy for all of us. This is a mantra that we sing in groups very often, and it goes like this.
And sorry, one thing I'll just say is when I experience this mantra, because we're chanting, we're calling in Shiva energy, which is like divine masculine, Shakti, which is divine feminine, divine embodied masculine and feminine, and that's inner union. You know, that's the journey that Tantra really takes us on, is that integration of masculine and feminine within to create wholeness. And where does that wholeness, you know, originate and sit? In the heart. It's exactly. Love. It's when we live with love. So, and then imagine this mantra doing, you know, with your partner. So yeah,
beautiful. Shiva Shakti Anahata Shiva Shakti Jaya 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 Shiva Shakti Anahata Shiva Shakti Jaya. Take a deep breath. Yeah, beautiful. So,
and just feel how that is in your system now after a minute of chanting, and intentionally calling in a vibration into your body of inner union, of self-love, and of connection with source.
Beautiful. So I want to say a couple of things about this specific mantra. Is that if you start saying that 5 minutes every morning with your partner or by yourself, right? Imagine that you're single right now, you don't have a partner. You start activating the polarity of male-female dynamics inside of you and creating a unification. So this is going to create already lots of healing. But now when you sing that with your partner, and I encourage you just to do it as a practice, just for 5 minutes, just sing it. You set up the timer in the beginning so that it's more like a contained way of doing it. And in the beginning, because it's going to be maybe a little bit of effort, a little bit of focus to establish that, and then you will notice that it starts impacting your life and your connection with your partner. And in my experience, very often the mantra is not going to kick in straight away. Sometimes there is a delayed gratification. It means that the impact of the mantra can take sometimes a few minutes, sometimes an hour, sometimes a few days. For instance, if you have been practicing some Hatha Yoga, you might have noticed that when you do a Hatha Yoga session, the first session is going to be impactful. You do like 2 or 3 days, and after 4 days, you enter into this state. And you might stop the practice, and the impact of the practice might stay in your field for a while, but then it starts dissipating itself. So this idea of delayed gratification is very important, because sometimes you're saying something like that and you don't feel anything. You're like, well, I'm not feeling anything, not right now, but there is a delayed gratification that is kicking in. And can I share about our experience yesterday?
Please.
Yeah. So yesterday we had a beautiful tantric date with Tara, right? So she comes to my temple. We arrive over there. We were both kind of a little bit tired and a little bit sluggy, a little bit like not too much energy, and we were centralizing a little bit, but nothing was too fiery and too powerful. And then we came downstairs. I think we had a little bit of drink, maybe a shower. I don't remember. But at
We
some
ate
point,
grapes.
we ate
We ate
grapes.
grapes naked on the lawn.
That's right, exactly. Looking at the sky, and then what we did, we started singing the mantras. Right, we started singing a set of sequences, and we have quite a few words now that we're expanding into. And what I noticed is that my level of attraction and fire started building up straight away. And within like 5 to 10 minutes, we were making love. We were like diving into each other, and suddenly the passion and the bonding and the resonance started kicking in. And my belief is this: it is that the evening would have taken a very different shape or different form without the mantras. The mantras were like a way of calling the tantric spirit and saying, come and embody yourself in us. And the tantric spirit cannot embody itself in your life or in our lives if we are not opening the door. We've got to quote. It's like, you love your mother. She's not going to know you love her unless you pick up the phone and tell her. I mean, she's going to feel it, of course, but picking up the phone and calling her and telling her, Mom, I just want to tell you, I love you, is going to make her day, all right? Because it's going to be impactful. So with the tantric spirit and meditation practices, it's the same thing. If I'm sitting at home watching reels and just wasting my time, the spirit is going to be like, well, I'm not sure if that person is interested in connecting with me. Right. Whereas if I'm really activating and actively establishing a relationship with spirit, then the response is going to start kicking in. So, these are some of the mindsets to keep in mind. And something that I want to show you is what is over here in the back of my temple. And you might not see it too clearly over here, but basically this is a set of about 25 formulas, right? This is the set of practices that we started activating now with Tara. And there is a couple of words in there, for instance, Maha, Shiva Shakti, Maha, Vama. Maha is great and Vama is great beauty. So we are activating the great beauty, and then we are activating the great play, Mahalila, and then the Mahasatya, and then the Mahavakya, and then the Mahakama, the Mahayuga. And each one of those words represents a very specific vibration. Mahakama is the great sex, Mahasatya, the great truth, Mahavakya, the great speech, Mahadharma, the great destiny line. And the reason why I'm saying all this and showing you these sequences is not to overwhelm you. I don't want you to be overwhelmed, but just to let you know that once you open this portal, it's like it just spreads. There is an infinite field of really deep, profound potential. Tara and myself, we could be working on these sequences for the next 10 years, day in and day out, without reaching the end of the story. Okay, because it's like we enter into a field that is infinite. It's a little bit like if you are a jazz musician. You can start playing jazz today, and by the time you are 70, 80 years old, you will still be playing jazz and still discovering things about the harmony of all of that, right? So it's very important to understand all of
that. Amazing. Let's take a breath together and have a shake. Okay, so what happens when Shiva and I come together and we sit before each other and we chant mantra? What is it? What is that thing that shifts us then into opening, into connection? And this has happened so many times for us. And part of it is absolutely everything that Shiva spoke into. And another part of it is we're just coming into presence and intentionality. And when you sit before someone, rather than just lounging back on the couch or lying back on the bed, waiting for natural spontaneity to arrive, but you're intentionally saying, we're about to open a romantic, erotic space together. And part of that is setting up sacred space. So we're bringing the sacred into the relationship and into lovemaking. So we've always got candles on when we're making love. We've always got some type of music in the background. We've always got incense, and that's a temple. That's opening a temple. So something that is beautiful to practice, whether you're a mystic or not, actually is just setting up sacred space when you go to make love.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and then that's opening an intentionality. And then when you sit before each other and chant mantra, what I just realized hearing you share is every time we chant mantra, like there's so many sequence of Shiva Shakti, and then, you know, the energy that we're calling in, is we select mantra that reflects something that we're wanting to clear in ourselves personally and in the relationship container, and something that we're wanting just to keep expanding. Like we were chanting the mantra for magnetism, you know, for forever in our relationship, and it's such a strong energy between us, is that magnetism and glimmerizing. I think that was actually what our live was on a few weeks ago. So yeah, you can use these mantras just like in your personal practice, how you're clearing out and then you're amplifying energies of connection. Then when you do that together in the space, it's a great way to come into presence and to use these cosmic energies to clear and to amplify. And from there, the mind's gone. From there, the day that's been thus far is gone. The future's gone. And you just get to see the god and the goddess sitting before you. And when you bring this mystical element into lovemaking, it ceases to be like the personality that you're connecting with, but it includes that and goes beyond that into you're seeing the divine Shiva Shakti sitting before you. And the question is, how do I love and worship this beautiful
Exactly.
being?
Exactly. This is so beautiful. You know, what you're talking about into it is really that when we look into each other, I take the example of I'm looking into Tara and I see her personality, I see her being, and then I see her goddess or her divine or her sacred energy. So nowadays in the New Age world, it's like, oh, you know, women are goddesses, right? And it's a little bit become like a kind of almost like vulgar, like you know, very common. But there is something that is
Yeah,
really profound
yeah.
behind that because when I'm exposed to this woman's presence and to the mantras and all of that and the worship of the feminine deities, then I see Tara as an expression of the divine. It means that something that I tell you very often is you are the voice of my spirit, you are the messenger of my soul. And so this mindset, when I anchor it into my field, when I choose to anchor that into my field, it's empowering our relationship and it's empowering this being to become a really an agent of evolution for me. If I say, you are my goddess, right? You are an expression of the divine energy flowing through your being, then I give my trust and I open my heart to this being to be an agent of evolution for me. So this is a really a powerful mindset or something incredible to say to somebody because suddenly it's no longer just like an egoic vehicle, you're beautiful and I love your body and you're sexy and so on. It's like, no, you are a divine transmission. You are a channel of truth. You are my goddess, my priestess, somebody who is my muse, who is a channel of energy that is very unique and is going to reveal to me aspects of my being or aspects of energy or be a teacher, be a guru, be a transmitter of something that is really profound. And so this is a decision that I make each time I come into Tara's presence. The being exposed to this woman's presence is a mystical experience by itself. I experience mysticism. I experience the divine just by being exposed to, you know, to your beauty. And I know that it's the same the other way around. I know that it's a similar kind of dynamic. But I want to point out from my angle, you know, as a man looking at the woman, is this like this is how I choose to look at her. The experience of beauty is a mystical experience by itself. The experience of beauty is a mystical experience. We can be looking at an incredible landscape and the waves in the ocean and be like, oh my God, I feel so happy right now. I feel so free. I've been climbing a mountain and so on. So we can experience that through nature, but we can experience that as well precisely through the experience of beauty. This is why, you know, in Renaissance time, you have all these naked women laying on couches and being glorified and being painted. Why? Because of the beauty, because of what it represents. And so right now, when we are entering into connection with Tara, and she knows that when I look into her eyes, I'm seeing the divine. I'm seeing the life force of goddess energy coming to me in that specific embodiment. It's just like my whole being explodes into a whole new dimension, because suddenly we are in secret space. We are in secret temple. This woman honors me with her presence, the transmission. She's been traveling the world singing mantras, and then suddenly she is embodying this divine Tara energy, and then coming to my temple is like honoring the presence of divine energy through her, right? So I want to just to share my passion for that, because this is something that is so incredibly unique. And the more I tap into that, the more my field expands and the happier I become. Right.
Absolutely. And it's just, it's so beautiful to love. Like I said that to you
Mm-hmm.
last night. It's so much joy out of loving and worshiping you, your heart, your body, your soul. And, you know, how much conflict is there in relationship these days in the world where people are just bickering, arguing, bitching about behind each other's back. You know, that's more so in the unconscious community. And in the conscious community, there's drama and there's processing and there's triggers and there's
Yeah.
challenges. And we forget, if we're in that state, then, you know, we're in the mind that only knows separation of you've done this, I'm right, you're wrong, whatever the story is. And we've lost that connection to, like, no, you are the divine showing up in
Mm-hmm.
my life, just as I am to you, just as actually we all are to each other. And if you're in relationship with someone, then they're reflecting a part of you as well, you know. And then it starts to become really interesting when you're relating to your beloved from that
Exactly.
space of knowing that they are divine, you are divine, divine is working through you both, and actually we're all one. So we're also reflecting parts of that
Mm-hmm.
with each other. But when we come with the energy of love and devotion and reverence, then it just ignites more love. And I'm not saying the devotion, and I can say this clearly, because I was 10 years in what I thought was a devoted marriage, my first relationship, new to spirituality, married kind of my spiritual teacher in a way. And the devotion was
Mm-hmm.
subservience. The devotion was blind devotion that says, I will not listen to my body and I will not speak up and ask for what I need because I don't want to risk losing love. So we're not
Mm-hmm.
talking about that. Actually, the space of devotion and trust in each other means that you can show up even more fully as yourself. This is the most me I've ever been in relationship, because I can feel that you trust me, and I can feel that you want to know truth, and I can feel that you're open to exploring whatever I'm
Mm-hmm.
experiencing, and same with you. So then we just get to be ourselves with each other because we're trusting something beyond our little, you know,
Exactly,
egos.
exactly. And one of the core elements that you're bringing in there, especially this element of feeling safe with each other, right? It's like there is
Mm.
it's very hard to experience to have a mystical experience where we don't feel safe. When we don't feel safe, right? For instance, if you are meditating and then
Yeah.
suddenly there is a war starting next to you, then it's very hard to go back to the meditation practice while the fire is
Mm.
burning and while the volcano is exploding. We have to fight for survival. So if we are in a relationship and we enter into a conflict space and there is lots of shadows and aggression and toxic communication and all of that, it's very hard to just relax into that person's presence and to open our hearts, because we go like, no, I've got to defend myself because I'm under attack constantly, right? So it's like the safety piece is really important. This is why, right now we are opening so deep into each other, because we have been cultivating a really deep layers of safety in the connection. So this safety piece, what does that mean? It means that no projections, don't, no toxic communication, no, overall criticism and toxicity and nagging and all that stuff. We are trying to communicate from a place which is really honest and true and truthful. It doesn't mean that it's not grounded, but it means that the toxicity that is potentially there in relationships has been kind of cleared and removed and dealt with in a way that is effective. And so what this means is that I don't think that Tara ever entered into my space without me just receiving her with open arms and fully, and the same the other way around. We receive each other with really open arms and really welcoming and really, I'm so happy you are here. Welcome into my temple. I'm honored that you showed up. All these things that really create a sense of, okay, now we can really drop in into this space of safety. You can really relax. Your nervous system can be like, okay, and most of the times what happens is like suddenly we tear up. Suddenly we go like, oh my God, I feel like the relaxation that comes into the system, into the body, just naturally allows us to really just enter into this profound state of relaxation. And yeah, it's so beautiful, Tara.
Absolutely. And I think that, it's so different when you're bringing time and intentionality and the space to actually drop deep with someone. And I think so many issues in relationship in and out of the bedroom would be resolved if they just created spaces like the ones that we're talking into today, where instead of like just going out for a bite to eat, or instead of watching a movie together or socializing together, they're all fun things to do, but there's quality time when the two of you can just drop in together undisturbed and love each other.
Absolutely.
There's so many ways that can be
Exactly.
expressed, but yeah, really bringing in the intentionality.
So a question for you. Many people who might be listening to that, you say, oh, you guys are living in La La Land. You're just like beautiful, mystical, all it's light and beauty. And I just want to reassure you that this is not what is happening over here. We're very real. We are very grounded. We are both engaged into missions and activations. And sometimes we enter into friction spaces, right? And it's just how we deal with it. It's another story, or how we navigate it. But we want to tell you something, that what we're experiencing and what we're talking about here is freaking grounded. We are embodied. Okay, we are not bypassing things. We're not just like, oh, I'm just going to see the beauty and that's it. No, it's like there is shadows. There is like things that might be uncomfortable in the field, right? So if you wonder about that part, I can tell you that no, we are engaging with our weapons. I've got over here my Trishula that is ready to fight and ready to battle, and we are activating precisely a space which stays very real. Tara is going through something, she's going to share it. She's going to be voicing it. And the same the other way around. If there is something that we're dissatisfied about, or something that is a trigger in the field, we're going to be communicating openly, and we are equipped with that. This is another story, right? How to navigate tension and shadows and triggers and in relationships. But the point is this: it is that it's really grounded, right? How do you experience that, Tara? Like when we use the word grounded or anchored or activating in the darkness as well, dark cupping. What comes to mind with you around?
I love that. Well, I'm just, and I'm reflecting on our journey. So this is our second round of relating. We were together 3.5, 4 years ago around, and we were still pretty good then, but there was still some shadows that were playing out in our dynamic that meant that the relationship didn't go, beyond what it was. But what's extraordinary is that both of us are committed to doing the inner work and resolving whatever's not in alignment with truth, right? So for me, that's stability. That's what creates the grounding and the foundations of the type of relationship that we've been speaking into today, is if we're both consciously doing the inner work, evolving, expanding our beings, and we're committed to that on our own path, because that's just what's important to us. So in the few years that we weren't together, it's like, and now we're coming together this time, it's like that none of it's there. And very rarely do I say to couples, if you separate, it's a good idea to get back together. Usually I'm like, people change, but they don't change that much. So they don't. I've seen it done well very few times, you know. So I think that's then what creates a stability. And I think the other thing that creates a stability is when we're both trusting the spirit of the relationship, you know. And for us, do you mind if I share a bit
Go for it.
personal? Yeah. So no, we're now going through another transition where I'm about to leave Bali and travel, and who knows what journey I'm going on. And that's why we're saying to spirit, show us, guide us, like what's meant to happen next. And we really trust each other's souls, and we trust each other's paths, and we also are trusting love. And I think when, you know, if I was to be in my mind thinking about everything, I'd be going crazy. But I just keep trusting myself, trusting my body, trusting you, trusting our love, and trusting life, and going, all right, show us what's next. So I think that helps really create stability in the relationship container as well. And then I think the third thing that I find creates a lot of stability is like making sure that every week you have enough quality time together. And if you need to schedule it, schedule it. We do. We have tantric date nights twice a week where we've got from 4 o'clock onwards, phone off, just the two of us connecting. And it's beautiful. Once during the middle of the week, once on the weekend. And it's what deepens that connection, and, you know, puts money in the relationship bank so your credits are high, so that when life does what it does and challenges come up, you've got that foundation and that relationship credit to draw from, that you can move through things and not always be in the deficit, not always be in the more tricky places to navigate.
Absolutely. The tantric dates that we are practicing, I think, is one of the core elements as well, and it's something that we encourage you to do as well, right? If you feel like you're in a relationship and you don't have enough quality time and you are feeling disconnected from your partner, creating a sacred space to be able to connect with each other is really one of the keys to make that a success. We would not be doing what we're doing right now if we were not, you know, dedicating this time every week for each other. And of course, you know, we don't live together, so that's an element, is that if we were not actually scheduling that and having really as a commitment, then people, you know, our relationship will probably be drifting to a very different set of dimensions. I would love to do something. It is that most people are wondering where to start, you know, with these practices and with creating spiritual connection in a relationship. And I've got just quickly a few set of very simple practices or a few pointers in that direction. Is it okay I share? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
go for it. We've got about 7
okay,
minutes
so
left.
this is just in a couple of minutes. The first one that we mentioned was mantras already, right? So mantras is like we gave you just one. There is hundreds, literally, formulas and things to design the relationship intentionally. Another one that we didn't show you yet is mudras. So mudras is, for instance, if I come with my hands like that, and Tara does the same, and we come in reverence towards each other, what we're saying is like, I honor you, I respect you. We are in divine space. That's a movement of resonance. And then if we start raising our hands to the sky and we bring this into a form of prayer, and we do that a few times, then suddenly we are really activating. You see, through our gesture, we are sending a very clear signal to the other person and to the spirit that we're in secret space and in resonance. We enter into a meditative state, right? So that's one thing. The other thing that we do regularly is different forms of meditation. So meditation can be sitting, it can be dynamic, right? It can be completely silent and look into each other's eyes, or it can be like shaking and breathing. And those are dynamic meditations. Meditating doesn't mean that we're just going to sit down and go into silence. It can be dynamic. It can be really loud. Exactly in the same way as Osho has been teaching the world, you know, the Western world is like dynamic meditations are forms of meditation. They are dynamic prayers, and that works really well for us as well. We are, you know, we're going to shake and in front of each other. The other thing that we already mentioned is also creating sacred space. So removing traces of technology in the bedroom and creating really beauty and candles and divinities and some mantras on the walls and things like that. So this is another way of accessing that. Another thing that we mentioned already, and those are the mindset. So the mindset is like when I say Tara is the voice of my spirit, that's a mindset that I have inside of me. She's not just my girlfriend. She's like a divine experience coming into embodiment, right? So these mindsets, when we cultivate these beliefs and these experiences, then it becomes our reality, basically. Something else that we can do is practicing rituals and doing pilgrimages or celebrations. For instance, if right now Tara and I, we were taking off to some pyramids in Egypt and starting to do some rituals on the by the Nile, or taking off to some valley in the Himalayas. That would be a pilgrimage. It would be, we would be visiting temples, we would be visiting some gurus or teachers, and that would be a pilgrimage. That would be a spiritual journey that we engage in too. That would be an activation of our spiritual connection as well, right? So there is this one. There is another one that we practice very often is nature, river, forest, and oceans. You know, being in nature together. Like in our previous round, Tara was living in Chiang Mai. I would come and visit her, and then we go into the ocean at the end of the day, sometimes at night, sometimes under the rain. We sing some mantras after we come. And I remember so many times looking at her and being like, wow, this is a divine moment. There is something really sacred happening right now. We offer ourselves to the ocean and play in the waves for a moment, and there is a moment of divinity. So nature has been really sponsoring our connection really, really deeply. And as you know, over here in Bali, you have lots of water rituals, right, happening in lots of water temples. So that's also something to to connect with. And then a couple more things along that way. Something that we can call bodywork release. For instance, sometimes I'm going to be touching Tara, and she's going to be touching me, and she just puts her hand behind my neck, and my whole system is like there is a release, a profound release of energy happening. So through body work, through touch, through physical release, something mystical can take place. Sometimes you find yourself receiving a massage and you're like, oh my God, that feels so good. And you come out of it and you're in a state of bliss, right? Why? Because the obstacles and the toxicity has been removed out of the body. And so that allows us to become much clearer channels. And sensuality is an essential aspect of our connection. You know, kissing, taking time to worship each other's bodies is really an essential thing. And then there is voice opening, or is simply doing voice together, activating through sound, can be also another access to mystical. And then there is mystical communication as well. Like, for instance, when we sit down and we are calling in the divine and having these conversations about where our destiny is going, we're really embodying the mystical dimension around that. So those are some of the techniques. I'm happy to post it somewhere so that you can have some reminder. But we want you to know that this is a whole system of life, of living. It's not just like, oh, let's do that because it feels good. And no, it's like there is depth to it. There is diversity. It's an art form.
Amazing. So many practical
Yes,
tips in there.
yes.
And let's receive one more breath together. So also Raven and I are doing a live, in a bit over a week now, November 8th. And we'll be speaking into how you can bring Tantra into your own practice and into your own relationship, but also how you can support your clients to do that as well. So we'll be touching a lot on these elements, a lot on the importance and how to work with deities, the tradition of Tantra, and how to bring it, if you're a coach, how to bring it to your client from the perspective of Tantra to really support relationship with self and relationship with the beloved. So it's a free masterclass. Jump on. We'd love to see you there, and the link will be in the thread below or above, wherever it's sitting. Thank you, Shiva. Reach out if you want more, Shiva.
Yeah, reach out.
And, we'll see you all next week. Thanks so much, Dave.
I just want to say that if you have any questions, just feel free to really post. I love receiving questions. I love knowing where you're at. If you have any challenge now or in the future, just know that we're right here to support your evolution. We can do sessions, remote sessions, in-person sessions. But even if you have just one thing that you are facing that, like, I don't know how to deal with that, we are really supportive and we want the best for you. Thank you, Clara.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you,
Okay,
Shiva.
I'll see you in a moment. A little later. Bye bye.
Bye.
Jaya.
Bye. Jaya.